Hey everybody, Ray Pastor, and today we're going to talk about part two, the next step to getting rid of your debt. All right, so the first step, if you didn't listen or watch the last episode, basically what I talked about is that the first step to getting rid of debt is to tally how much debt do you actually have. If you didn't get a chance to listen to that or watch it, go back and do so. All right, because tonight we're focusing on step two. Step two, which is determining your life budget. Determining your budget. So let's talk about how you determine your budget. And I've talked about this before in previous episodes. We're going to go into it tonight and really talk about, how do you determine your budget? Okay. So I'm going to start out. I'm going to tell you the absolute best way to do this. And then we're going to talk about some other ways. But if you're here watching this, you need to absolutely do the best way. You can't, do this like a little bit and kind of estimate what your monthly or weekly spending is, because you're in debt and we need to know every single thing that you're spending money on. Otherwise, we can't analyze your debt, we can't analyze your spending and determine the best way to solve the problem. All right, so let's get into it. So what you need to do is for an entire, literally you need to do this for an entire month, because we need to know everything. We need to know a monthly budget. We need to know what every single thing that you spend money on in a month, everything. How you spend every single dollar, dime, nickel, and penny, everything. Do you have a mortgage? Write it down. Do you have a car payment? When you pay it, write it down. What's your water bill, electric bill, internet, cell phone, school loan, credit card bills, anything that you're paying, write it down. Whatever you're paying per month, every single thing that you're paying, write it down. So, and you have to do this for an entire month. You really, there's no other way to get around it. I'll talk about some of the easier ways to do your budget, but to be honest with you, you're not in a position to necessarily do that. You really, at this point, you're in debt. You need to get out. There are serious consequences to not. You need to write it all down. So what I personally like to do, it's really easy for me, is there are many apps that you can choose from. Pick an app on your phone and just have something that allows you to tally. You can use Google Sheets. Sometimes I will use notes or reminders in my iPhone, but you can find really any app that just records every time you spend a dime, spent, and here's what I spent it on. Because we need to go in and analyze that and determine how to analyze that and what to look for. So we're going to write down every single thing that you do. If you can't do this, you will not make it to the next step. You will not be able to make a good decision about what you're supposed to be doing. So we really, really, really need to tally everything. How many times, we need to know how much you spend on gas per month. How much do you spend on going out to lunch, on Starbucks coffee? Every single thing about your life, we need to know how much you do it. And we need to get it down to an exact science. So I can say, at the end of the month, I can start to say, well, you know what? You spent $70 on random lunches. Did you need to do that? Then we can start to analyze that stuff. But we're not there yet. We need to write it down. All right. Now, sometimes what I tell people is that, I get that it's difficult to write your expenses down for a month. And maybe you are in a situation where you can't do this for some reason. Like you have some debt collector against you and you really need to figure this out quick. So maybe it can be okay to go in, just look at your credit cards. Maybe you only use a credit card, so every expense is just on there, so it's very easy for you to calculate all of them. But I will tell you that you will miss stuff if this is how you do it. For most people, doing it like this is okay. I can just go in and kind of figure out what I spend per month. But when you're in debt, that's really the not safe way to go about it, and you will probably miss stuff and underestimate. People usually underestimate what they spend, which is why we write down everything we spend for the entire month so that we don't under or overestimate what we spend. We need to know exactly. All right. So that's your goal right now. This is what I want you to do. Start today. Start writing down every single thing that you spend money on. All right. As soon as you've done that, we're ready to move on to the next phase.